You guys deal with a lot of pilots.
Hmm.
Obviously, a lot of the FAA testing centers are
Yeah.
closed. How have you been helping pilots and who either need to renew their 107s or need to take their
Oh,
107s for the
can I
first time,
share
kind of
this?
navigate the current landscape?
Well, the current landscape is if you need your initial 107, you're hosed.
Okay.
Um, you cannot take it. If the testing centers are closed in your state, you just can't take it. It's that simple. It is not considered critical infrastructure, or not critical infrastructure, critical essential operations, I should say, by the FAA. So they never even considered that, because by the time they got through with that aspect of changing the rules, it would have been a year down the road, as we've talked about earlier. But the person who actually Kevin Morris, he's the guy who really kind of went out for us, went to bat for us in the integration office, trying to get the UGR, the unmanned ground test, recurrency test, to the point where somebody who cannot take it now can still fly legally. They talked about doing just a non-enforcement issue, which is fine and doable unless you're insured, which hopefully you are. If you're flying and it's not enforced, you're still flying illegally. So they knew they couldn't do that, because if you have an incident, the insurance company can say, hey, you're flying illegally. Can't do that. So Kevin reached out to myself and another drone pilot. I'll let her mention that if she wants to at some point in life, about writing a letter to the FAA saying, hey, this is why the UGR needs to be considered essential. You've got things like the people who work search and rescue, first responders, even like myself. It's my business. I pay my mortgage. Well, that's not necessarily the what they were looking for as far as paying mortgages and stuff like that. They did understand that you've got a lot of people who can't fly legally, and whose insurance is an issue at the state level, at the county level, at the city level, and the UGR needs to be part of the essential businesses. And so they set it up that we can take the 107 UGR pilots can take the online test for the recurrency that's usually only available to manned aviators who have a current Part 61 license. So that'll be good for 6 months, and they can do it up to, I believe, June 1st. Maybe it's July 1st. I don't remember exactly, but it's on the FAA site, faa.gov/UAS. So you just go on to faasafety.org or .gov, and you take the UGR test, and you're good. You have to go ahead and go to the testing center in 6 months, so you're current, but you're good. So it took longer than they wanted, but they got it done in 30 days. And so
Which
for
is
them,
fast for the FAA.
that's phenomenal.
Yeah, right.
Considering that there's a whole bunch. It's not just the unmanned side. I mean, there's manned aviation extension and stuff like that in that sheet as well. So huge shout out to the FAA for doing that for us.
Do you see that getting extended if conditions don't get better?
It's been brought up, and basically the comment was, yes, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I kind of like to use to mix metaphors. Say we'll burn that bridge when we get there, but either before or after we cross it is kind of how we have to decide how we're going to handle it. But they realize that this is not the end all be all, and if this goes on 3 months, the nice thing about how it is now is the process is set. So it's like, oh boy, it comes up. Let's say we're 2 weeks before the extension is done, and it's obviously not going to be good. It's not going to happen. Places aren't open yet, or people are still too scared to go out and take the test, because you're in a little cramped little cubicle when you're in those rooms. It's just like, okay, here, executive order, blah blah blah, extension. So it's the process exists, and if it needs to be done, it'll be done pretty quickly. I think. No inside information there. Sorry.